Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited / nervous for this video. I thought it would be really fun to finish off Indiemas doing a chatty get ready with me and talking about what I have been hiding from y'all, and that is that I am pregnant. Yay! So in today's video, I just wanted to share my experience so far and how this pregnancy has been going. I want to be clear that this is a one-off video. Do not worry your little heart out. This is not going to be a mommy vlogger channel just because I'm pregnant. I want to share like a little piece of me today, and maybe, you know, when I have the baby, I'll share a labor and delivery story or something like that, because I think, you know, talking about your experiences is so profound and important. I already have an 8-year-old child that you guys never see, and that is my same plan for this child. Maybe one day you'll hear some cooing in the background, but that is about it. We are still going to be talking about Indie nonstop. I cannot believe that I am actually finally filming this video and getting to chat with y'all about this. So I'm going to start off with some sunscreen. And I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning. I am completely overthinking how far back the beginning is, but I guess I would say that when my husband and I first started dating, he was kind of like, maybe I want to have kids. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't want any more. But that really came from a place of fear versus like my true desires, because when I was younger, I did want a bigger family, and you know, I never imagined myself just having one child, but then I was, you know, a slightly traumatized, divorced single mom at 19. And that was not fun. I'm going in with the Makeup Forever foundation and the About Face foundation just to create my perfect shade combo. But when I first started dating again, in general, I was definitely just like, nah, I don't know about kids. Like, yes, I have one and I'm done. I just couldn't imagine trusting another human being enough to put myself in the position of taking care of another child by myself. And I know that's such a negative mindset, but that was definitely where I was at for a while. And when I initially had this conversation with my husband really early on, and he was kind of like, maybe, like, he wasn't like super about it. He was just very like neutral. I was like, okay, perfect. Like, we're good to go. We're on the same page. But then as our relationship grew and I, you know, learned to trust him, as you have to in a relationship, that desire definitely bloomed more and more. I feel like a lot of healing has definitely been done in order for me to get to this point where wanting to be pregnant and like wanting to plan it out was a joyous thing. Just going in with some under eye brightener from Becca / Smashbox. I'm just laughing thinking about it, but I know that there's been such a change because I even had a surgery before I met my husband where they were like, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to have any more kids? And I was like, yeah, I am absolutely positive. And I was so like comfortable with my doctor because they did not question me at all. And I'm like, okay, well, anyways, I feel like I just owe a lot of credit to my husband and the man that he is, but I don't want to go too much in detail because he is also very private. So I want to focus this around my experience. But after we got married, I was definitely like, okay, let's yeet this IUD out. Like, I am so ready. I'm so done with it. Started tracking everything and learning so much about my body, which I'm actually kind of regretful of not doing sooner, because I think a lot of women, you know, when you're thinking about fertility, it's like, oh, let me learn about all these different things. But I think that I would have just understood my body and my cycle and the reason why I feel certain ways at different times of the month. I feel like because of birth control, my period was always irregular, so I never felt like tracking it. But I think that even with irregularity, it still would have been really eye-opening. In the future, I am gonna do a better job at really paying attention to that and taking the information I've learned going forward. Looking back now, I'm like, okay, you were so delulu. I knew that my husband had some long distance work coming up and he was gonna be gone for months. And I was like, you know, yes, we could pause, we could wait. The baby fever must have been really, really strong because I was like, it's okay, like, it's fine. If I have to go through half of this by myself, like, that's not even a big deal. Like, I'll be fine. Like, it's, how bad could it be? And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I also use Nars Chantilly for my under eye concealer as well, and just to add a little bit of highlight and brightening. And I'm going to go into the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. I don't know if you guys even care about the products that I'm using right now, but they're so good that I feel bad not mentioning them. So this pregnancy, in theory versus experience, has been completely different. And I just have to look back and laugh at my optimism, because it has been... Parts of it have been absolutely beautiful and wonderful, and I'm so happy, but then other parts have been extremely hard and lonely and just depressing. I think this is one of those like taboo topics too, because it's like you feel so grateful to be pregnant, but also like it is a very hard experience on your body, physically, mentally. I feel like it's so important to talk about that and to acknowledge that you can be so grateful, but also be absolutely going through the trenches. So I found out I was pregnant basically as early as you possibly can, because I was tracking, and the only symptom I really had was that I had a very, very intense dream of having not one, but two babies. And in the dream, it was very bittersweet. I remember feeling so happy, but then also feeling so sad. And it was just really, really intense and vivid. And it was just a very strange dream that kind of stuck with me. And I was like, what does that mean? I have crazy dreams all the time, so I did not try and think too much about it. But then once I got that positive test, which by positive, I mean like the faintest line you've ever seen. I had it, you know, I was using a flashlight. I put it in my phone. I had it inverted, and I was like, I think I see a line. I sent it to my best friend, and she's like, girl, I see that line too, but I would wait before you tell him, because he is not gonna see it. Going in with Rare Beauty Happy. I ended up telling my husband on FaceTime, and I feel like his reaction was very priceless, because he just did not believe it, and he didn't really believe the accuracy of the test, which was fine, because the first time around it was like, okay, you see this, it looks like such a faint line, but you know, any line is still a line, it's still a positive. And you know, I get it, like if you're not tracking, if you're not following, it might be more confusing. But then I went and purchased a digital test that fully said the words pregnant, and he was like, I don't believe it. I did end up making a doctor appointment right away, you know, just to confirm, but they do not see you until, I mean, mine did not see me until like 9 weeks. And then I just kept taking tests that got darker and darker until he was slightly more convinced that it was real. But I get it, because I'm experiencing all these things. I've been through pregnancy before, and I still did not think it felt real until they handed me a baby, and I was like, are you sure this is mine? I am about to talk about something that might be a little bit triggering if you are sensitive to pregnancy loss, and everything is okay. But I did just want to talk about a scare that I had, and I know that that's not for everybody. So if you want to keep watching the video, but you just don't want to hear this part, I will leave like a timestamp somewhere on the screen so that you can just skip ahead, no problem. Because I know personally right now, I'm like, if I hear anything bad, I'm just like skip. I cannot handle it. But I just wanted to talk about my experience. Before I went in for my first appointment, I started to bleed, but it was very light, and so I tried not to overthink it, and I was like, I'm going to see them literally tomorrow. I'll tell them, and you know, I'm sure everything's fine, because it can be normal in early pregnancy to have some light bleeding. And I was just like being very positive about it. So I ended up going to my appointment. They did an exam, and they're like, okay, yeah, I see that you are lightly bleeding. And they basically just ordered me some labs to go test my HCG levels and just make sure that they were continuing to climb. Frustrating part is that when I was talking to my doctor, she was like, oh yeah, like we'll get you in for the dating ultrasound and make sure everything's okay, especially because you are having some light bleeding. We might be able to get you in today or tomorrow. And I was like, okay, perfect. Like that's just gonna be such a relief to make sure that everything is okay. And then I went to schedule that appointment, and they were like, yeah, we cannot get you in until the end of next week. So there was a lot of anxiety involved to begin with, and I also just didn't feel like I was like bleeding enough, and I wasn't having any cramps, so I didn't want to go to the ER and like make sure that everything was okay, but that was my only other option other than waiting. So I decided to wait it out, just do the test. I had to go back like every 48 hours and get my blood drawn. After I had done blood work twice, I got a call from my doctor, and they let me know that my levels had dropped pretty significantly by like 20,000 or something like that. and that in combination with still bleeding, I am literally not gonna cry. Like, I'm just not about it. But they told me that they thought it was not a viable pregnancy, and that I was most likely miscarrying. Deep breaths, deep breaths. I'm like trying to be lighthearted about it because I really don't want to like get super emotional, but obviously you guys know, like in the moment I was a mess. And my husband was really great because he was super positive. He was like, we don't know until we know. And I, on the other hand, was just immediately into like, okay, let me accept that this is a loss, because I was alone. He wasn't here. I had not told anyone that I was pregnant. No one in my family knew. So I didn't want to tell them with bad news. I was just planning to handle it by myself. So I did go to my ultrasound appointment alone. I was literally a hot mess. I feel like I try to bring my best self everywhere I go, but I think the lady who was doing the scan could definitely tell that I was anxious. And she did not say anything. She just kept looking and taking pictures and looking and taking pictures. And the screen was also turned away, so I couldn't see anything. I was just sitting there waiting for bad news. And then I think she never even let me see the screen, but she did print out a picture and she handed it to me. And she was like, there's the baby. And she described it as a chicken nugget, which my husband and I have adopted. We can't stop saying it. We're just like, okay, we're so excited for our little nuggie. And I was like, wait, so it's okay? The heartbeat's okay? Like, I was just kind of confused. Like, I just needed more validation. I went out to my car, I called my husband right away, and I was just crying so hard that he thought that something was wrong, but I was crying because I was happy that everything was okay. And then after that experience, I was just like, okay, I'm ready to tell our family. Like, I do not want to do this alone anymore. I used Fenty Pretty Pearls for my highlighter, by the way. And then I'm going to go into Galactic Visitor from Singe for my eyeshadow. I'm just dying to play with this palette again. So we told both of our families through FaceTime. Well, like, my family lives here, so like I saw them in person, but my husband was on FaceTime. And they were definitely surprised. We're not expecting it, even though it was so hard with my family, because it's not that they're like pressuring me to drink alcohol necessarily, but they do like to try new drinks and mixes, and like they're always like, oh, I got this and it's new, or I had this new wine, like, do you want a sip? Do you want a sip? You want a sip? And it was so hard. Like, I would take like not even a real sip, like I would just pretend. Or one time my sister was like, oh no, like let me pour you a little shot glass. So like I pretended to take it, and then I just went to rinse out the glass in the sink, but really I rinsed it out with everything in it still. And I just did my absolute best, but I was like, goodness gracious, you guys are not making it easy to hide this. I think with my family, I just like pulled out the ultrasound and I was like, guess what, guys? Like, I don't know. It's not like anything super planned. And then with my husband's family, we just FaceTimed everybody, and it was sweet because we speak in Spanish with his family, and my son Roman, he knows like a few words here and there, but I taught him how to say my mom is pregnant so that he could announce it. And he like really got the pronunciation down. Like, I was very impressed, because sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand, like the words just jumble together, but he did a really good job, and it was just a very heartwarming experience. And then also I was just feeling so sick and tired. I genuinely felt like I could not do anything. I would do one thing with my day and then I could barely keep my eyes open. I was sleeping like 10 hours at night, taking a nap every single day, and I just felt like there was nothing I could do. I was just exhausted. And then I also was having trouble eating because I had a lot of food aversions. I had a lot of morning sickness. And I remember with my son, I also had morning sickness, but I don't remember having this feeling of just not wanting to eat at all. Like, every food just sounded disgusting, and I had to force myself to eat anything at all. I have also been sick, 2 or 3 times while being pregnant, like having the cold. I did go and get my flu shot, but I've just had the cold multiple times, and you cannot take any medicine, almost nothing at all. So I've just been struggling through it every time. Like, don't get me wrong, I miss margaritas, I miss deli meat, I miss sushi, but mostly I miss NyQuil. But I will say that with all of the sickness and just not feeling great, that I just was extra grateful for my husband because, you know, there's only so much you can do from a distance, but he was so supportive of me. I have used the phrase that I am surviving, not thriving, so much in these last few months, and he has just been so on board with that. He ordered me a giant pregnancy pillow and it is so comfy. He's like, I don't even know where I'm gonna fit on the bed when I get back. And I'm like, me neither. But that does not sound like a me problem. I feel like these mats are so freaking good. I cannot emphasize that enough. I finally hit the second trimester and they say that this is when your energy goes up and you have just renewed energy, and that definitely took a minute to kick in. I would say I didn't start feeling that way until maybe like 17 weeks, 18 weeks. It's been very recent that I started feeling, not even that I have like this amazing amount of energy, just feeling more like myself. And I've really been taking advantage of that with Indiemas and being able to post every single day. My husband is able to come home early. That's the reason I'm even posting this video, because it feels weird to share with y'all when we're not together and we haven't celebrated as a family like in person yet. So that's why I really wanted to wait. Ooh, what am I doing? I can't decide. I have the gold here, but I don't know that I want to go in with the gold actually. Switching it up. Oh, that looks so pretty. So what I was saying is that he actually is on his way back right now. That's why I finally feel comfortable filming this video. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. The shade Beam, absolutely stunning. I did start feeling the baby kicking, and it was kind of funny because they say that when you're a second time mom, or like if you had multiple pregnancies, that you feel it sooner. And I actually felt it sooner with my son Roman. This time around I was just kind of like waiting, you know, when's it gonna happen? It literally went from nothing, I didn't even have the flutters, to full-on kicks, which was nice because that was a day I was struggling and I was feeling extra sad. I cannot stop adding more and more of Beam. It's so cute. So as of right now, I am feeling really good. I've got my appetite back. I'm not feeling so sick. And I just think there's a lot of confidence that comes with it being your second child, and it's just a lot less scary. It's scarier for my husband because he doesn't have any experience with babies, but I absolutely love babies so much, and I know the basics. And what's really cool is there's so much content now out there online, and I've seen videos about like everything you need to know about baby clothes, everything you need to know about diaper changes, everything you need to know about burping, and they're just in like short form content, and I've been sending that to him, you know, just to help build up his confidence a little bit as well. But we're feeling like everything is gonna be okay, and I have just been thrifting so much. I feel like I could go on a rant, y'all, about the baby industry and just looking at the prices of things. Like when people are like, oh yeah, this is new, it's so worth it. It's like, I don't care what you say. Nothing will convince me to spend $2,000 on a bassinet that the baby's gonna be in so fast that you are gonna blink your eyes and you don't need it anymore, literally. So I've been trying to keep that in mind and just not getting pulled into the marketing that I think has to do a lot with fear, because you're going into such a big change in your life. And like, yes, there are a lot of things out there that will help that transition, but I'm just looking at everything from a very critical viewpoint of what is actually worth it or not. I feel like shopping is one of the things that makes you feel like you're preparing for the baby. So I have thrifted / gotten from Facebook Marketplace probably like 75% of what we need. So I just feel set and ready to go. And when my husband gets home, I'm sure it'll be our project to work on the nursery. Something else that I thought was kind of weird that I was like, this is so annoying. I started swelling and I called my husband. I was literally crying because my rings did not fit anymore. My wedding ring, my engagement ring, they were starting to leave really bad imprints, and it's like, I want to wear them, but I don't because it's starting to hurt, and like, I don't want them to have to get cut off. And my husband went on Amazon and found just like a cheap, like $40 version of my rings. It's not giving diamond anymore, but it's pretty perfect for what it needs to be. I just realized I didn't even put a lipstick on. That's how distracted I am. I'm just gonna go in with Sweet Fig from Lisa Eldridge. All right, so there is the finished look. Just a fun mixture of some cool and warm tones, a bunch of my favorite products, but I am so excited to be sharing this news with y'all. I'm so curious if any of you guys clocked me and you were respectful enough to not comment about it, because I feel like you should never leave comments assuming that someone's pregnant. And the funny thing is that I normally get those comments all the time, like you're glowing, like I know you're pregnant, like just some weird comments, and I actually did not get only one. When I was taking a break, I got a comment from someone about it and they were like, I just have a feeling. And I was like, you're right, but can you imagine me commenting back to you like, yes, this is my pregnancy announcement, congratulations. I kept thinking I was giving myself away with my pregnancy nose and talking about the smells of everything, but I also felt like it was a superpower as I was reviewing. I'm like, I can tell you guys how strong these scents are. If you are sensitive to smells, I have got your back right now, because I also am just like, wow. These things smell and I never knew that they smelled before. Like the Urban Decay watermelon spray, that one almost took me out. I was gagging. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed Indiemas and that you have a wonderful rest of your holiday season. I will be back with some new content for y'all in the beginning of the new year. Bye!